Hello, hello, hello. So today, this is going to be the third video in the Arvest API tutorial series. And today we're going to be getting into IIIF Manifests. So, what am I talking about? What is a IIIF Manifest? So if I connect onto Arvest, then obviously you'll know about the Media Manifest project kind of workflow we have going on. You'll know that media files, so they are like the direct actual media file that exists online. And you'll know that manifests allow us, for example, they're kind of like meta digital objects that can be dropped into a project. So we can have several manifests in one project. And a manifest can point to one media file, it can point to several media files and have different pages of different media files. It can contain annotations, it can contain metadata, so that is what a manifest is. It's our kind of meta document that allows us to augment our media without just pointing to a media file online. We can actually point to a kind of a composed object, which is more than just the media. It kind of tells us information about the media. It tells us what other media it's linked to, all that kind of stuff. So today we're going to be learning how to create a manifest and upload it to Arvest using the API. But so to first kind of get into that, we're going to need to understand what a manifest actually is. So if we go back to the Arvest website, on the Learn section, we have got a tab called IIIF and Discover IIIF. So at the moment, this is just a small text that kind of goes over IIIF, but I am hoping to add a kind of more, as you see, check back soon, for a more kind of full interactive tutorial about what IIIF Manifest actually is. Because IIIF, which stands for International Image Interoperability Framework, is actually what's behind these manifest files that we're going to be creating. So you can visit the IIIF website, which is here, which will go over the whole kind of IIIF infrastructure. It's IIIF is a whole community of people. So you've got developers, you've got researchers, you've got people from galleries, libraries, archives, museums that all kind of come together around this thing, which is IIIF, and sort of devote a lot of their usually free time to developing this thing in an open source, open and free kind of way. So there are many aspects to IIIF. It's a multifaceted thing, but to sort of give a very broad overview, IIIF was conceived of over 10 years ago now as a means to allow for the hosting and serving of large image files between different institutions. So basically, at the time, cultural institutions were digitizing lots of images images, but they were all doing it in different ways, and the softwares that they were creating was serving them in different ways, and so it was creating basically these silos, which made it difficult for objects to be accessed or communicated between different institutions, and everyone was developing their own softwares which didn't work quite in the same way, and so it was all kind of a bit of a mess. And IIIF basically was the answer to this problem, in as much as it is a set of standards which come in the form of APIs, IIIF APIs, that allow these different softwares and these different technical solutions to be created in an interoperable way. So in a way that allows people that are working, I don't know, at Harvard to be working in the same way as people are working in Paris at the BNF, for example. So concretely, what is it? It is a number of APIs. You've got the image API and a whole host of other ones which all do different things. But the one that is going to be interesting us is what they call the presentation API, which is currently, but possibly not for much longer, in its third version. So we can go and have a look at some of the documentation here. And so this is a very detailed document which will take you through everything there is to know about the presentation API. So obviously this isn't perhaps the best way to get into how to create a IIIF manifest. For that there is the IIIF cookbooks, which exist on their repo, which I shall link to in the description. But if you do have a very precise question about the API, then you can probably find your answer to it here. There is this diagram here, which kind of gives an overview about what's happening. But I probably isn't the best way to get into it by going over this diagram. I think the best way is going to be by creating our own manifest and then sort of taking you through how things work. So yeah, one thing we can take from this diagram is the manifest. So the manifest, which is, you know, this thing that we're going to be creating that we have in Arvest that we can open in our projects, is the kind of main container wrapper of the things that we're going to be creating. So essentially it is a JSON file. It's information that has been written in a format that is standardized according to this presentation API. So if we want to point to a media file, for example, in our manifest, then we're going to have to follow a strict set of rules and ways that we have to sort of structure our JSON data that will lead to our media file. And the same is going to go for metadata. So metadata will have to be written in a specific way. Annotations will have to be written in a specific way. And so the presentation API of IIIF is basically this standardized set of rules that give you this JSON structure that allows you to create things which you know will be able to be opened by different IIIF viewers. So those are the softwares that allow people to open manifests and display their content. So essentially in the projects tab, when we create a project, this is actually a IIIF viewer. So yeah, so know that the things that you'll be creating via the scripting that we're going to be learning today will actually essentially be able to be opened in any IIIF viewer. So you know, obviously the convenient thing with Arvest is that it will actually offer you a place to host your manifests because it needs to be hosted somewhere online. And you can open it straight in projects and all that kind of thing. But you can host them on Arvest and then open them in another IIIF viewer. That'll work completely fine. With a few exceptions in terms of audiovisual things and annotations, which we'll probably get into a bit later. So I think probably enough blah blah from me. Let's get into actually creating one of these manifest things. So but yeah, just that was a brief overview to basically say that what we're going to be doing today is creating a JSON file, which if you've done a bit of Python scripting, then I'm sure you'll know isn't particularly difficult. But we will be using a specific Python package, which I might as well open up now, which is called IIIF Prezi 3, which is the go-to Python package for basically writing manifests in Python. So it gives you access to this manifest class where you'll be able to, basically you'll know that everything that you create is up to the presentation API standard, and that it'll be interoperable and all that kind of stuff. So we will be using that. So if I go back to the Arvest website and head over to API and machine learning, and I open the machine learning notebooks repo. So again, I'll be linking to this in the description. If I come down to the Arvest API tutorials, we'll see that we've got this IIIF Manifest creation section here. So today we're going to be learning how to create a simple manifest from an image file, or actually from several image files, I believe. We've got this link to manifests that exists, that link to manifests '(s), that is incorrect, and that exists, that is also incorrect. So I'm sorry about that terrible grammar and punctuation there. So link to manifests that exist online. That's essentially doing exactly the same thing as here linking to media that exists online. So if I go to Colab here, you see that I've got some paths to some manifests that are hosted online. So these are just the URLs to this manifest data, which we won't break down here, but you'll see that if you follow this, we're following exactly the same method as before, but instead of add media, we're using add manifest, and instead of get medias, we've got get manifests. That's literally all that's changed in these two notebooks. So we won't go over that tutorial here today, because it should be pretty transparent, and if you do have questions, then you can refer to the previous video in this series. No, today we're really going to be getting into creating a manifest from an image file. And it's going to be a simple manifest. It's just going to be displaying an image within our manifest, and just a single image. We will get on to creating multi-page manifests, to adding metadata, adding annotations, all that kind of stuff in a future video. But for now, we'll just be creating a manifest from an image file. So once again, you can use the Colab version, or you can use the local version. I'm going to be using the local version, which I have already cloned on my computer. Sorry, I'll just close this. And again, if you need help cloning the repo, then please follow the very first video that's in this tutorial series. So I'm going to be going to the local folder and the Arvest folder, and going to the fourth notebook, which is Create Image Manifest. So we're going to be opening that up here. So you'll see that it's a bit more involved than the previous video, because there are a few more moving parts. But we're going to be going through things step by step, so you'll see that it shouldn't be too difficult to follow. So what have we got? First of all, we've got our setup. So this is importing and setting up various packages and things that we're going to be needing for this notebook, notably the Arvest API, and again my utility things, but also IIIF Prezi 3, which is going to be helping us making our manifest. So I'm going to hit play on this, and it'll take a bit longer than the previous tutorials, but it shouldn't take that long. It shouldn't take that long. He says as there we go, 12 seconds, which is getting up there, but still. So what's going to happen to create our IIIF manifest? We're going to be basically creating our manifest from a media file that we have already hosted on Arvest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I have a media file on Arvest that I'm going to be able to use. So we're creating an image manifest. So I'm going to have an image, and the image that I'm going to want to use is this image of trees that we have here. So I have it already uploaded onto Arvest. You see that it's hosted at Arvest because we've got the resource.arvest.app prefix on it. So I've got some basic information about it. I've got some metadata as well. And you'll notice that in the metadata, I've actually given it an identifier called API tutorial content image. So I'll keep a note of that because I'm going to be using it in a bit. That's going to be able to allow me to find my media file, basically. So it's not a manifest. It's just like the media file, which is hosted on Arvest. And I'm wanting to create a manifest from this media file. So to do that, first of all, in my script, I need to find the media file that I want to create my manifest from. So in this cell, so if you've been following the videos, you'll recognize this cell is just connecting to Arvest using the email and the password that is in my JSON file here. So I'm just connecting up to Arvest. There we go. And then I need to find the media files that I'm going to want to use. So this is actually creating a list, because the idea behind this notebook is that if you've got several images that you want to create manifests from, then you can do them all at once. This will only have one, I think. So what I'm doing to find the media that I need, it's the same as the same technique that we've been using at the end of our previous tutorials, where basically we get a list of all our media items, and then we iterate through that list. We get the media items metadata using the get metadata function, and then we check if one of the fields is, we check a condition. Here the condition is the identifier of this metadata API tutorial content image, which is, you'll remember, the identifier that I set here. So there it is. So hopefully it should just find this image. So let's see if it does. So it found one media file corresponding to the search criteria, which corresponds to what it should find. So that is good news. So we have our Arvest media item that we want to transform into a manifest. So from this point, as is indicated here, we are going to be going step by step, really like sort of hands-on DIY how to create a IIIF manifest from an Arvest media item. However, you know that we do also have another package called Arvest Tools, which gives you access to a function called media to manifest. And basically that function will take care of everything that we're going to be doing here for us, and we won't have to do all these things by hand. In further tutorials, we will be using that function, because obviously it makes the code a lot cleaner, and there's no point just copying things and for no reason. But so if you just want to use that function and don't really care about what's really happening under the hood, then please feel free to just skip on to that. But if you are interested in knowing how to create a IIIF manifest in Python, and exactly how things work, then that's what we're going to be doing here. And I think it is important, if you're going to really start scripting things with manifests and that kind of stuff, to at least know what's happening under the hood. So I would advise continuing this tutorial, but it's up to you. So let's head on in. So first of all, in order to create our IIIF manifest that points towards an image, we're going to need some information about that image. Notably, we're going to need to know the dimensions of the image. Because on our manifest we're going to create a canvas which is going to display our image, and that canvas needs to be the correct dimensions to be able to display that image. So how do we get the dimensions of the image? So our image is hosted online. Fortunately, there is no real reliable way, in any case, of getting the dimensions of an image file that's hosted online without actually downloading it onto your computer in Python. So that is what we're going to have to do. There are ways of getting around this, but it's not always completely reliable. So yeah, there's not much getting around this. The most reliable way, at least for this tutorial, is going to be to download the image file onto our computer, which will allow us to get full access about information about this image file. So how are we doing that? Here, basically, we're creating a temporary folder called temp. So we're creating it here, and then for each of the Arvest media items that we found above, we're going to be doing this. So we only found one, so this will only be happening once, but yeah, just to kind of demonstrate that you can do this more than once if you need to. So first thing that we're going to be doing is getting the media item's full URL with the get full URL function. So you see media item is each media item that was found, and it's an instance of the Arvest API media class, and that has this function get full URL. And that is going to be literally just getting the full URL that leads to the image file. So it's the same as copying this, basically, the URL there. And then, so we're getting our full URL. This is just printing our progress, which, just so that things look nice when we're running this. And then we're using the a helper function from my, utilities library called jhutils, which will download. So this is, using basic requests, streaming, that kind of stuff in Python to download a file. I'm sure if you've done some Python in the past, then you will probably have come across how to download a file in Python. And if not, then, type into ChatGPT, how do I download a file in Python? It's like 4 or 5 lines of code, if that. It goes beyond the scope of this tutorial, and I'm trying to make these notebooks as less cluttered as possible. So it's all kind of just hidden in this download function. But, you have the links to this package if you want to go and see how that's working. But, yeah, hopefully it shouldn't be too difficult for you to download a function, and you can use this function, which should work just fine on any kind of media file. And so you give the URL of the media that you want to download, and there is also this quark which allows you to define a download directory folder. So it's going to be our temporary folder that we'll be creating, and it returns the full path to the file that has been downloaded. So up to this point, we have downloaded the file onto our computer. and we have the path to that. And now basically I'm going to get the information. Once again, so all of the information about the media items I want to process, I'm going to be putting into this dictionary called media info. So the key is going to be the Arvest ID of that media item, and then I'm just going to be adding another dictionary to that, which has two elements, the media files info and the media files URL. So the URL we already have, that we can just put straight in. But the info is going to be got from this get image info function. So this, again, if I scroll back up here, is another utility function that I provide. Once again, it's basic kind of Python stuff. You can type in anywhere, how do I get the dimensions of an image in Python, and it'll show you. So once again, I don't want to clutter up these things, and it's beyond. Oh, sorry, it's beyond the scope of this tutorial. I mean, it's not beyond the scope, but it's not the point of this tutorial to sort of go into that kind of stuff. But it's yeah, basic Python stuff, and this function returns to us the width and the height of the image in pixels, basically. Yeah, so I'm going to run this. There we go. And you'll see that I'm printing out the result here. So first of all, what's happened, if we look here, this temp folder has been created, and you'll see that the image file was actually downloaded to my computer. So it's still here. We'll be cleaning that up at the end. And then in this dictionary, so you see that the ID was 707 on Arvest, and in the info, I've got the width, which is 2,592 pixels, and the height, which is 1,944 pixels. And we've got the URL to where it was found on Arvest. And this information here, that is all the info that we're going to need to be able to create a manifest. We will need the dimensions of our media, and we will need the URL of where the media file is found on the internet. That's all we need. So now that we've got all that, we can create our basic manifest. So this is where we're going to start using the IIIF Prezi 3 class package. So once again, this is iterating through things, because the idea is that you can do this on multiple media items. But hopefully it shouldn't make things too difficult to follow. So I'm here creating an empty list of manifests, which is manifests that I will be creating so that I can access them. And then I am iterating through the media for manifests, which was found, it's which was found here. So this is, the list of things that was found on Arvest. So this is just printing my progress. First thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to want to, well, we'll get to that in just a second. This is the most important thing about what's happening in this cell. So we are creating an instance of the IIIF Prezi 3 manifest class, which is here. So this, we're not in Arvest at the moment. This is just purely within Python. This is a Python object. We're nothing to do with Arvest for the moment. When we create a manifest using IIIF Prezi 3, we are going to need at least two obligatory quarks, which are going to be the ID and the label. So the label is the name of the manifest. So if I come back into Arvest, and I should have a manifest here, for example, this is the label. Oopla, sorry, too many Tom Scotts. So this is the label here, the label of the manifest within Arvest. And that, as most strings within IIIF, is actually written in a dictionary with a language code and then within a list. So Why is this so complicated? That's because, so this is following the W3C annotations data model, which is formatted in this way, and we have to do it in this way, and there's no other way of doing things, and so that's just it. What this does allow for is for us to have multilingual manifests. So here I have the English language code, which tells me what the label of this manifest is in English. But if I wanted to, I could add something to this dictionary, FR for French, and then add content within that. So that's how you do multilingual stuff in IIIF. We'll just keep things with English for now. But know that, yeah, as soon as you need to start adding a label, and we'll see for things like metadata, all that kind of stuff, this is how you add things in. It's a dictionary where the keys are a language code, and then the content is within a list, and then you have your actual string, which is the actual label here. So what is the label that we're adding here? It's actually just the title of our media item. So this can be whatever you want, but I thought this would be appropriate. Remember, media item is an instance of the media class in the Arvest API, sorry. IPA, it's Friday, so that might have been a slight slip there. So it's an instance of the media class in the Arvest API, which has this title, which is, so it basically corresponds to this here. Re-Weldon Trees will be its title. So that's the label. You need to give a manifest a label. That's obligatory. And the other obligatory thing is an ID. It needs to have an ID. So the ID is, so let me show you an example. So we'll go into our manifest, and so I've got two manifests here that I've created previously, and I'm going to copy the manifest's link and open it in my browser. So welcome to the guts of a IIIF manifest. This is all JSON data, as you're familiar with. So you're seeing here, how this thing is formatted. So everything is going to have a type. So here we have a type manifest, and here we find our label, you see. So again, it's a dictionary with a language code and a list and some content and a whole load of other things, which we'll get into further along the line. But it also has this ID. And so this ID is, for the manifest in any case, the direct URL online where this manifest is hosted. So you see here, it's resource.arvest.app and then, this URL. This is the same thing as we have here, because the idea is that this corresponds to where we can find the manifest online. So, if I copy the URL from here and then paste it here, we have, this is the URL. So these two things are the same thing. So when we're creating a manifest in Python, we don't know yet where this manifest is going to be hosted online. Because, opening up Firefox for some reason, when you upload a manifest or a media item or whatever onto Arvest, until you've uploaded it, you have so this bit we know that it will have the prefix resource.arvest.app, but it will have this hash here, but there's no way of knowing what this hash will be beforehand. So basically what we do in Python is, whilst we're creating it, we create this placeholder URL. So this could be anything you like, placeholder.com, whatever. This is not going to stay when we actually upload the manifest to Arvest, but the Arvest API add manifest function has the option to automatically detect the fact that there's been a placeholder put in place and replace basically placeholder.com with the resource.arvest.app and the hash that will have been created when we upload it automatically. So in the meantime, we just add placeholder because it's a placeholder, and that will be replaced when we upload it to Arvest when the time comes. So yeah, here we are creating our ID. And one thing that we can control here is the actual name of the JSON file. So you'll see that at the end of this file here, we've got short video with Tom Scott speaking shot decomposition.json. So that's the name of our JSON file here. That we are going to be able to control, and it won't be replaced. It will stay how we define it. And what I've taken for the moment is basically the media item's title, but I've made sure to slugify it. So slugify, what is that? That is another utility function that I provide. Basically, when you have something that's going to be part of a URL, there are some rules you have to follow. For example, you can't have spaces. There can't be spaces in a URL. If you want spaces, you have to replace a space with %20. And, various other things like that, making sure that things are ASCII and all that kind of stuff. So basically, the slugify function here makes sure that the string that you have is URL ready. So that's what I'm using there. So there I've just created a basic instance of the manifest class. It's not pointing to any media yet. It's just a manifest, an empty manifest with an ID and a label. So I'm going to run that there, and it's done. Now, next thing to do. So if I go, well, actually, I've got my own little diagram here, which I hope is clear enough. It might not be that clear, but once we get into actually doing the things, I think you'll hopefully agree that it does the job. So this is basically showing you the structure of a manifest and how to paint media files to this to the manifest. So we have our main manifest. This is the sort of container. So if I go back to the JSON here, you see that JSON starts here, and I've got this first item, which is a type manifest, which has a whole load of other keys. Most of them we don't bother adding anything to them, but you'll see that it also has a key items, and this has a new item within it. So this is a list of items. This first item is a canvas, and that also has a list of items, which so this first item within the canvas is an annotation page, which also has items, and this first item is an annotation, which doesn't have items, which has a body, but we'll get into that in a sec. But so this diagram here sort of is a reminder of how things work. So basically we have this manifest object, which is the main containing thing, which has to have an ID and a label. And in its items, it can have a canvas. So the canvas is literally the canvas upon which we're going to display our media. And then this canvas will have what we call an annotation page, which is a collection of annotations, and the annotation is actually going to be the thing pointing to our media that will have a target, which is the canvas. We'll get into that in a sec. So what do we need to do now? Now that we've created our manifest, well, we need to create our canvas. So basically same as what's happening above here with our manifest being created. Here we are creating canvases. So here, this is what is actually happening. We're creating an instance of the IIIF Prezi 3 canvas class, and we're giving the information that we need here. So like a canvas, it's going to need an ID. Here we can just put the placeholder.com and then canvas and one. So for each canvas, you're going to add canvas after the URL prefix. And then you're going to put the index of the canvas. So the idea is that you can have more than one canvas, and that is the case when you have manifests with more than one page, as is seen in Arvest. So if you wanted to create a second canvas, then then you'd have to put a 2 here instead of a 1. We're giving the canvas a label once again. So this can be whatever you like, but you'll see that we're following the same structure with a language code and a list and a string within it. And our canvas will need a width and a height, because this is the canvas that we're going to be painting things to, so it's going to need some spatial dimensions. And this is why, we'll be using it again also later, but this is why we got the information about our media item, because we are going to want our canvas's width and height to be that of the image that we're wanting to display. So for that, we're referring to the dictionary we created earlier when we got our image width and height, and we're setting the width of the canvas to the image's width, and the same for the height. And then what we're doing, we're taking our manifest, which we created just above, and we're going to append to its items, which is a list. So we're appending something. This canvas, and that's all we're going to be doing. So I'm going to press play there, and it's done. Now, we've created our manifest and our canvas. We're now going to need to add an annotation page with an annotation and actual media to it. So how do we paint something on this canvas that is going to paint our media file, basically? So if we have a look at what's going on here, so here we're exactly the same thing as before. We're just iterating through the different media files we want to treat. Here, I'm getting some information about the media file and putting them into some smaller variables. So I'm just getting my width again, I'm getting my height again, and I'm also getting the MIME type. So the MIME type, if you're not aware about what that is, I can show you an example here. This is a MIME type, video/MPG. So when you have a file on your computer, usually from its extension, you can discern what kind of file it is. So this is, well, this isn't a very good example because this is actually pointing to a YouTube video, but it's so the file that it's pointing to is actually a video file of type MPG. You could have type, I don't know, what is there, OGV, MP4, all that kind of stuff. So that is a MIME type. And our manifest needs to know what MIME type is. He called personifying it now. The manifest calls it the file's format. So there is actually a package in Python called MIME types that I've imported up here that will do that for you. Hopefully with most files, it doesn't actually work with .webp files, which is why I add this type to it here up at the top. But that's for just so that the script works, basically. So we're using MIME types here to basically get the type of file that it is. And then what are we going to do? Well, we're going to need to create 3 things. We're going to need to create an annotation page, which is going to be added to the canvas's items, an annotation, which is going to be added to the annotation page's items, and a body, which will be added to the annotation's body. So this is the body is where we're actually going to be pointing to the actual media file. So we start by creating our annotation page. This just needs an ID. And so we have our prefix here, which is placeholder.com. It's part of our canvas. It's part of our first canvas. So we have that part of the path here. And it is a page in this canvas, and page index 1. This you will probably not have to do anything other than that unless you're pointing to another canvas, in which case you have to change the index here. So don't worry too much about that. And then here we're creating our annotation. So again, it needs an ID. We're referencing within what it is contained. So we have our prefix, we've got canvas and the canvas index, page, and the page index up to here. It's just referring to our annotation page. And this is the first annotation of this annotation page. Motivation. So what is this annotation actually doing? It's going to be painting. So this is following the IIIF Annotation API. When you're displaying a media file to the screen, then the motivation needs to be set to painting. There are other motivations, for example, when you're creating an annotation, which is an annotation in the way that, a human being would think about it, then it can have a motivation of commenting or tagging or, that kind of thing. But here we're going to be painting. It's going to have a target, this annotation. So this annotation is going to be targeting our canvas. So you see that we're targeting our canvas here. And it's going to be targeting a specific space on this canvas. So we have XYWH, which stands for X position, Y position, width, and height. So this is a HTTP property, I believe we call it, or attribute. I can't quite remember, but it's basically in URLs when you see hashtags and ampersands and equals and all that kind of stuff. Basically means we're adding properties to the end of a URL. So here the property that we're adding is the position and dimensions, and that is equal to whatever we put here. So we want it to be painted to 0, 0 in terms of coordinates, and it to have the width and height that is equal, again, to the image's width and height. And finally, we're going to create a body. This is the information that is going to be pointing, again, to the actual media file. So here the ID is not going to be placeholder, all that kind of stuff. The idea is going to be pointing to the actual media items URL. And that is what we found earlier. So it's where this media item is found on the internet. So it's this resource arvest.app. It's going to be this URL here. So if I scroll back down, up. So it's going to be pointing to that. It's going to need a type. So this is the MIME type we found just above. It's going to need a format. So that is the MIME type we found just above. But it's also going to need a type. And that is, if it's an image, you just type image with a capital I. If it's a video, you type video with a capital V. And so to get that, I could have just typed image, but I did a kind of overcomplicated thing of taking the MIME type, splitting it by a slash, taking the first element and then capitalizing that. It's basically because I'm lazy that if I copy and paste this and just want to do it with a video, then I'd get the right thing. But anyway. And finally, we're going to have to give it, again, a width and a height, which is the width and height that we've been using since earlier. And so to finish, we add to our annotation page is items, the media, the annotation, and we add to our canvas items the annotation page. And so to get that directly, we find our manifest and we get its first item. And then we add to that, so this first up to here, this is getting our canvas. And then we add to those items the annotation page. Hit player there, and it's all should be working fine. So That probably seems very complicated. Hopefully, I mean, obviously you'll be able to go back over this and see different points that may be less clear, and it should all just work when you actually do the script, run the script here. You get used to it. I think the big catch for me was annotations, which aren't always annotations. It's just part of the API. There are reasons behind why things are called what they're called. Probably best not to think too hard about it and just like carry on. Our manifest is ready to go. But just one extra thing that we could do to make sure to make it a bit easier to, well, a bit more pretty, basically, is we could add a thumbnail to our manifest. So this isn't obligatory, but it can be nice to do. So basically, what I'm doing in this cell is again iterating through all my media items, and if my media item has a thumbnail, so I go back to Arvest and I go to media. So this is my media item here. This thumbnail that is displayed here is actually the thing that's found at this URL here. So if I copy that, paste it, it's a smaller version of my image, basically. And so when I'm iterating through my media item in the API, this thumbnail URL is a property that I can access. And as long as that is not none, so as long as there is a URL, then we might as well use that as our thumbnail for our manifest. So what I do, just very quickly, because it's not essentially things that we've already been doing. I'm once again downloading the file to my computer because I'm going to need the dimensions of this thumbnail. So I'm using the same function as before, and I'm getting the info about it. I'm getting the MIME type, all that kind of stuff, and I'm creating this object. For a thumbnail, we're going to need to create, so you'll see it's basically, it is the same object as here, but just for another media file. I need the ID, which is the URL where it's found online. I need the type, so that's going to be an image. I need the format, which is the MIME type, and I need the width and the height. So it's exactly the same as what we have here. And then I'm going to add it to my manifest in the thumbnail section. Note that it needs to be in a list, just a little kind of gotcha kind of thing that you need to know. So I'm adding that there. And I'm also, you can also add thumbnails to canvases. So I'm going to add that might as well as a thumbnail to my canvas. So that's what I'm doing there. So I can hit play there on that. So you see it downloaded the thumbnail here in my temporary folder, and we're good to go. So we have created our manifest. Our manifest currently exists as a IIIF Prezi 3 class instance. How do I get this up onto Arvest, and how do I start actually looking at it and interacting with it? Well, first of all, we're going to, there is a way in the API to not have to save it to disk, but it's probably best to save things and so that you can consult how things are working and all that kind of thing. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to save this manifest as a JSON file on our computer, and then we're going to upload that file to Arvest. So here, what am I doing? So I'm going through each of my manifests I've created. I'm slugifying the title again so that it corresponds to what I set as the label earlier. And I'm just using this write JSON helper function that I provide, where basically in the temporary folder, I'm going to save the JSON data, the dict data, which is got by taking my manifest item and running the dict function on it. So if I run this, you'll see that in my temporary folder here, this file has been created. And if we go through it, we'll see the various things. So it's not that big. We'll see the various things that I created. So my ID is placeholder.com rewalden trees. This first item is a manifest with the label that was created here. Got a load of fields here that we haven't bothered filling in, but that doesn't matter. They don't need to be filled in. We have filled in the thumbnail. So this is the thumbnail that we created earlier. And so in the manifest items, we have this first canvas, which we gave it this title. The canvas has a height and a width. It has a thumbnail as well, which is here. And the canvas's items, we're going to have the annotation page, we're going to have the annotation, and we're going to have the body of this annotation. And so we've got the target of this annotation, which is the canvas at these coordinates. And then the body of this annotation is going to be our resource. So that all seems to be working correctly, which is great news. So what are we going to do now? We're going to be adding this up to on Arvest. So now we're returning to Arvest API world. We're going to say thank you very much to IIIF Prezi 3 package because it served us well, but now we're moving back to Arvest API. If you've been following the first couple of videos in this series, then this should be very familiar to you. So we're going through the files we want to upload. So there is the add manifest function in the Arvest API instance. And this will take a path. So this is just getting the path to this file that I created here. But I am going to add this extra quag, which is update ID, and I'm going to set it to true. So this is very important. This is the quag that will let the API know that you want to replace, as I said earlier, all of these placeholder.com URL prefixes to the URL of where the thing will be, where the manifest will be uploaded online. So if you don't set that to true, and it is false by default, then they won't be updated and things won't work. So you need to do that. And finally, so we're putting the uploaded manifest into this object. We're updating its title, updating its description. So remember, these are not the IIIF manifest itself, but the actual manifest item within Arvest. So I go back to Arvest. It's not, I go to my manifests, it's not this title or description that's being changed, it's this title and description, which aren't quite the same thing. And same thing, I'm giving the Arvest item a thumbnail, which is the same as the media items thumbnail. And I'm uploading its metadata. I'm updating its metadata. So we've seen all this before as well. So I'm getting the added manifests metadata. I'm updating the creator field, and I'm updating the identifier field. And then I'm updating, and it should all be done. So I'm going to send that off. Seems to have worked. So if I refresh my manifest tab, we see that we've got an item here. So that's great. So I have my item here with the title and the description and probably metadata that I updated in my script. And if I want, I can open it straight away in an instance of Arvest here. So you see that we have our media file, which is projected, and we see that, for example, this canvas. So we've got the title of our manifest here. They've got the title of our canvas here. Our canvas has a thumbnail. If I go into here, we see that the manifest also has a thumbnail. I can zoom into my picture. It's the correct picture. Everything seems to be working a-okay. And if I come into the details here and have a look at the manifest, you'll see that the placeholder URL has been replaced by the hash and all that kind of stuff that will make sure that everything is working. So that is excellent. Just a few cleaning up things. As we've seen something similar with the media stuff, there's a function that allows us to get the preview URL of this manifest in Python. So if I just press play here, this is a URL that will open my manifest straight away into a browser. So that if can be useful in Python if you don't want to have to go to your workspace and find the thing that was created and then click open and all that kind of stuff. You can have straight away just this URL that takes you straight to the manifest that was created. And as I said before, I don't know how long this has been going now, perhaps maybe an hour. So that is a lot more than I thought it would. But we've seen everything in like quite granular detail. You can bypass all of this. You don't have to do this every time. You can use the Arvest tools media to manifest function, which I mentioned earlier. So basically, you get your media item from manifest from Arvest, and you use the Arvest tools manifest creation media to manifest function, giving the argument of that, and it will create your manifest for you, and it'll work. And you see that here we're picking things up from this step, basically save to disk. So we've created our manifest here. We're saving it onto disk. We're uploading it to manifest, and this is all just uploading to Arvest once again. So just to demonstrate that it works, you see that this one is called automatically created, and I think it should be basically exactly the same thing. Maybe I didn't add there are thumbnails, so that's fine. And if I press this again, you see that it's all working in exactly the same way. And just to prove that this is a different manifest, you've got a different URL here. So yeah, not that it was pointless following this tutorial. I think it is very good to know how things are working, but basically everything that we've seen up here is just is just happening under the hood of this function here. So it's if you need to go quickly and you don't want to have cluttered code, then you can get the manifest like this. And this will return a IIIF Prezi 3 manifest object, so you can still modify things of this object if you need to. So that will all work fine. But yeah, it's just to get things started a bit quicker. And it will work with videos and YouTube media and PeerTube media and all that kind of stuff. So to finish, we'll just clean up our mess. So I'm just going to delete the temporary folder here from my computer. So that has been removed. And once again, I'm going to remove from Arvest the manifests that I created, the two manifests. So to do that, as usual, I'm just going to get all my manifests and check that its metadata is what I want to delete, and then use the remove function to do that. So I'm going to press play on that, and it removed my two manifests. So if I refresh, you'll see that they've gone. So yeah, that is how to create a IIIF manifest in Python, and how to see it in and open it and interact with it in Arvest. So if I come back, so I've got a million tabs open here. Here's my ML Notebooks one. So that was from an image file. Audio and video we will be going through, but not quite as in much detail, because it's basically the same process, except we'll be adding a duration to the canvas for audio, and same for video. We will create a video for multi-page canvases, but that's just essentially adding multi-page manifests, and so that's essentially just adding more canvases. Manifest metadata, that is just another field to change in the JSON, and annotations, so that'll be perhaps a bit more involved, but is still the same kind of thing that we've been doing today. So yeah, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, hopefully the videos will be coming pretty soon. But yeah, I hope you found that useful, and I shall see you next time. Bye bye.